Many traders think they need to have a better strategy in order to make more money. But often they just need to stop setting fire to their own money by executing their strategy consistently and without emotional interference. The Behavior tab in RiskDesk is a dedicated space that helps you quantify your execution discipline. Before you can track your behavior in RiskDesk, you must define the sort of errors that you want to eliminate. If you haven't already, go to the Settings menu. Scroll down to Execution Errors. There's some preset in RiskDesk, but define your own, the things that you find yourself doing on occasion that hamper your progress in your trading journey. You can navigate directly back to the Behavior tab by pressing the brain icon to the left of Settings. It's really important to distinguish between a losing trade and an execution error. If you followed your plan but the trade loses, that's a system loss. It's not an error, it's just the cost of doing business. If you've deviated from your plan, you've chased the trade, you've got FOMO, then ultimately, even if that particular trade wins for you, that is an execution error. Think about some real life examples. If you've got a rule that says you're going to buy the 21-day pullback, you see the setup, it looks perfect, you calculate your risk and you enter it, the market news shifts, the stock drops, it hits your stop loss, that's not an error. If you followed your rules, that's just the cost of doing business. You wouldn't tag that, it's a valid statistical loss. But if you're waiting for a particular candle to close and the price starts spiking up, you get scared you're going to miss something, so you buy above your ideal entry point. The stock's already moved above its traditional ATR. You might say to yourself at the end of it, hang on a minute, that was FOMO, I chased it. You should tag that. That's a behavioural error. Even if that trade eventually makes you money, your entry was based on emotion and not your rules. Sometimes you'll get lucky revenue, and that's the most dangerous error. If the trade works, but you've made an execution error, and you can get in the habit of seeing that, then ultimately RiskDesk will classify that as lucky revenue. It's dangerous because it's a negative reinforcement. You're rewarded for your bad behavior, and that can encourage people to do it again and again until ultimately they blow up. So when you tag a trade with an execution error in RiskDesk, it's doing something really helpful with your data. The engine is going to take the profit or loss from that trade and it's going to separate it away from your actual trading edge. RiskDesk is then going to calculate for you exactly how much your psychology is costing you. If you lost $500 on a revenge trade, RiskDesk will show that your account could be $500 higher. If you made $1,000 on a FOMO trade, RiskDesk is going to mark it as lucky revenue, reminding you that you haven't earned it with your skill, you've learned it with your luck. And if you make an execution error, by tagging those errors honestly, RiskDesk will then allow you to see the true cost to you over time and help you by pointing out what your shadow equity curve would be, not just your real P&L, so you can start to pick off the most common execution errors. Let's go through some examples. So the first thing to know is how you actually tag an execution error to a trade. Now, there's two areas within RiskDesk where you can do this. Within the trade log itself, so if you open a particular trade and go to the Manage Trade view, you'll see a little triangle at the top. If you select it and it's a trade where you've made an execution error, it will show you the list of errors that you've defined and you can tag one. So in this example here, I'll tag boredom against this sample trade. Alternatively, within your journal, wherever you've got entries, you see a little triangle up here. Again, from the journal activity area, you can then define one or more execution errors on a given trade. If you come to the Behavior tab, which you can always quick access from this brain icon, you can actually start to slice and dice your data in a similar way to the statistics page to see what the impact is on your execution discipline against your underlying statistics. You can define it by strategies. You can look for particular tags. You can look over particular time ranges. Look at this example. Revenge trades this month. Actually, I made money on one. Again, this is sample trades, but the system is showing that is lucky revenue, and it's pointing out, not to build habits on luck. Let's turn some of these filters back off. You can see how you can pivot between P&L and your actual monetary amount. You then see this in the shadow equity curve. Then you can see your profit waterfall. This is showing you ultimately the gross profit that you start with, the system loss, the loss that you've made from legitimate trades that just failed. Then you see the execution errors. So the losses that you're making as a result of poor execution. And then you see actually what the implication is in terms of all of that on how your net P&L is impacted. So obviously you want that red execution bar to be as small as possible. The execution discipline heat map, that shows you instances based on your journal and the activity stream where trades have been tagged as having execution errors. Green, you've had no errors that particular day, perfect execution. No trades will be the black color. Yellow means you've had a slip. Red means more than one execution error has been tagged on that day. You can then jump straight to the journal entry to see more detail. That's the new Behavior tab in RiskDesk and the Execution Discipline Engine. I hope you find it useful. If you tag your trades honestly, where you have lapses of discipline, it can give you valuable data that can help you to identify and then zone in on removing those particular execution errors from your trading. Thanks for listening.